कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे, निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं, देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरये।
Thank you, Sonny. Thank you. So we concluded the 7th chapter yesterday, the son of Drona punished, and we saw how Arjuna very expertly he pacified and satisfied everyone from the family and even Lord Krishna. So going further, very beautiful section of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam begins. This section is a section which is filled with prayers to Lord Shri Krishna. In this chapter, we will see the prayers of first Uttara, and in great length, the realization and the heartfelt prayers shared by Srimati Kunti Devi. And then in the next chapter, we will see the realization and the prayers of another very great personality, one of the Mahajans, Srila Bhishma Dev. That too at the final moment of his passing away. And then we will see further how Krishna leaves Hastinapur and he enters into Dwarika. Then we will see the prayers of the residents of Hastinapur, and we will also see the prayers of the residents of Dwarika. Very, very beautiful section, very personal realization of these exalted Mahabhagavatas. Very important section of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So, the first verse of this 8th chapter is entitled Prayers by Kunti Devi and Parikshit Saved. So we saw in the last previous chapter that the 5 sons of Draupadī and the Pāṇḍavas, they were very heinously killed by Ashwatthama. Sūta uvāca atha samparetānāṁ svānām udakam icchatām dātuṁ sakrṣṇā gaṅgāyāṁ puraskṛtya yayuḥ striyaḥ. Sūta Gosvāmī is continuing, and Sūta Gosvāmī said thereafter, after giving the proper punishment to Drona, son Ashwatthama, the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Ganges with Draupadī. Sa-kṛṣṇāḥ here is used for Draupadī. One of the names of Draupadī is also Kṛṣṇa. Krishna used to call her Kṛṣṇa. Why? Because she is so very affectionate and dear to Krishna. So her one of the name of Draupadī is also Kṛṣṇa. So here it is mentioned that udakam icchatām dātuṁ sa-kṛṣṇā gaṅgāyāṁ puraskṛtya yayuḥ striyaḥ. So because in this great war, there were many casualties on both sides. And the Pandavas also lost so many of their dear relatives. They lost all their sons. So to deliver the dead relatives, so what they did, they went to the Ganges with Draupadī. The rituals or the custom which is to be done, which is the daha samskar, the final rites before it is performed. So that is being mentioned here by Srila Sūta Gosvāmī. So the Pandavas went towards the Ganges, and they were all led by the ladies, and Draupadī is mentioned here. Of course, Kunti Devi is also there. And Prabhupada says, to date, it is the custom in Hindu society to go to the Ganges or any other sacred river to take bath when death occurs in the family. Each of the family members pours out a pot full of the Ganges water for the departed soul and walks in a procession with the ladies in the front. The Pandavas also followed the rule more than 5,000 years ago. Lord Kṛṣṇa, being the cousin of the Pandavas, was also amongst the family members. So the entire Pandavas, the 5 brothers, Draupadī Devi, Kunti Devi, and of course Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, they all went to perform the final rites. So the situation is such that their heart is all filled with so much of grief and lamentation because of the untimely departure of so many of their near and dear ones. Te niniya udakam sarve vilapya cha brihisham puna apluta hari padabja rajaputa sarijale. Having greatly lamented, the word is vilapya. Vilapya means having so much of grief and lamentation in the heart. So they greatly lamented over them. Over whom? Those who passed away. And offered Ganges water. They again bathed in the Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. Try to understand the Sanskrit. Try to catch the Sanskrit. Not very difficult. Apluta hari padabjaha. What is Apluta hari padabja? Was talked about the previous verse is the word gaṅgāyāṁ. So gaṅgāyāṁ, how it is so potent and purifying? Because of it is been taken bath or it has touched the padabja, the lotus feet of the Lord. Raja Putra Sarijale. And it purified those who got in touch with the waters of the Ganges. Because it is whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. So that is why Ganges is so purifying. Whoever comes in contact with Ganges gets eminent impact. And what is the impact? That he gets in touch with the lotus feet of the Lord. So this is the situation that the Pandavas are grief-stricken and they are very much lamenting over the loss of the lives of their very near and dear ones. Tatrasinam kurupatim dhartarashtra saha anujam gandharim putra shokartam pratham krishnam cha madhava. So now from the Pandava side, Sūta Gosvāmī is talking about the Kauravas side. There sat the king of the Kurus. Tatra asina kurupatim. Patim is also the king. Patim is also the husband and is also the king. So tatra asim kurupatim. And who is kurupatim? Is Dhritarashtra. And saha anujam. Along with his younger brother. Who is the younger brother of Dhritarashtra? Saha anujam. Yes, there Shri Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, Vidurji.
Yeah, because Pandu is already dead. Pandu Maharaj is already dead. He has passed away. So along with his younger brothers, no, this is mentioned for Sa Anujam is for not for Dhritarashtra. Here, if we see, it is being mentioned for Yudhishthir Maharaj. Prabhupada says in the, they are said the king of the Kurus, Maharaj Yudhishthir, along with his younger brothers and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, and Draupadi. Although only one word is mentioned here, it is Gandhari. And everyone is lamenting Putra Shoka Artham. They are all lamenting for the loss of their sons, all overwhelmed with grief. And Pratham Kṛṣṇa cha Madhava. And Lord Kṛṣṇa is also there. Pratham is Kunti and Kṛṣṇa is Draupadi. Okay, here it is. From Pritha is Pratham, that is for Kunti Devi. Kṛṣṇa is Draupadi, and Madhava is Lord Kṛṣṇa. The battle of Kurukshetra was fought between family members, and thus all affected persons were also family members, like Maharaj Yudhishthir and his brothers. Kuntri, Draupadi, Saubhadra, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and her daughter-in-laws, etc. All the principal dead bodies were in some way or other related with each other, and therefore the family grief was combined. Lord Kṛṣṇa was also one of them as cousins of the Pāṇḍavas and nephew of Kunti. What is the connection of Kṛṣṇa with Pāṇḍava? What is the connection? Yes, Sonika?
प्रभु जी कुंती महारानी कृष्णा की बुआ थी, मतलब वो वसुदेव जी की बहन थी.
Yeah, she is the sister of Vasudeva. Now, Lord Kṛṣṇa was also one of them as cousin of the Pāṇḍavas and nephew of Kunti, as well as the brother of Subhadra, and Subhadra is married to Arjuna. The Lord therefore was equally sympathetic towards all of them, and therefore he began to pacify them befittingly. Santavayam ashamunibhi hata bandhum sucharpitan bhuteshu kalasya gatim darshayana pratikriya. Citing the stringent laws of the Almighty and their reactions upon living beings, Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa and the Munis, Santavyam. Santavyam means to pacify, to placate. Not only Kṛṣṇa himself, there were many sages also there, Munibhi, along with the Munis present. And why the family were aggrieved? Because Hata Bandhun Sucharpita. So all of them had lost their friends and relatives. Bandhu means brothers, relatives. And they were Sucharpita. They were shocked and affected. And what Kṛṣṇa gives the example is Kalasya Gatim Darshaya. So Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected by the gati of the Kal, which has happened. The stringent law, Prabhupada speaks about it in the Purport. The stringent laws of nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be altered by any living entity. The living entities are eternally under the subjugation of the Almighty Lord. The Lord makes all the laws and orders, and these laws and orders are generally called dharma or religion. Very, very deep purport. See how Prabhupada is bringing forth the principle. The Lord makes all the laws and orders, and these laws and orders are generally called dharma or religion. So following the law and order of Kṛṣṇa is following dharma or religion. No one can create any religious formula. Bona fide religion is to abide by the orders of the Lord. The Lord's order are clearly declared in the Bhagavad Gita. Everyone should follow him only or his orders, and that will make all happy, both materially and spiritually. As long as we are in the material world, our duty is to follow the orders of the Lord. And if by the grace of the Lord, we are liberated from the clutches of the material world, then in our liberated state, also we can render transcendental loving service to the Lord. In our material state, we can see neither ourselves nor the Lord for want of spiritual vision. But when we are liberated from material affection and are situated in our original spiritual form, we can see both ourselves and the Lord face to face. Mukti means to be reinstated in one's original spiritual status after giving up material conception of life. Very beautiful definition. Mukti means to be reinstated in one's original spiritual status. Mukti hitva anyatha rupam. What is the anyatha rupam? That we have all the false material designations or whatever we identify ourselves. So mukti is to sarvopadhir vinur muktam. All the false designation to give up. What is the original designation of the jiva? What is the only and the original designation of the jiva? Manoram Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So this is eternal servitorship, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Jivere Swarup hoye nityera Krishna. So any designation which is other than this designation is a false designation. So mukti means mukti hitva. Hitva means that which diminishes or destroys what? Anyatha rupa. So when we come into this material world, because of the material body, because of the material condition, because of the kala, because of the karma, because of the guna, we misidentify us. So sarvopadhir vinurmuktam, Sūta Gosvāmī said. And tat paratvena nirmalam. When there is no mala, when one is nirmal. So Prabhupada is saying here that mukti means to be reinstated in one's original spiritual status after giving up the material conception of life. Therefore, human life is specifically meant for qualifying ourselves for the spiritual liberty. This is the purpose of human life. What is the purpose of human life? Is to become free, to be liberated from the eternal bondage of material condition. How? By coming in our own original position. One moment. So all our activity, all our energy, all our efforts should be in this direction. Prabhupada is saying here that therefore human life is specifically meant for qualifying ourselves for this spiritual liberty. Unfortunately, under the influence of the illusory material energy, we accept this spot life of only a few years as our permanent existence, and thus become illusioned by possessing so-called country, home, land, children, wife, community, wealth, etc., which are all false representations created by Maya illusion. This is all anyatha rupa. And under the dictation of Maya, we fight with one another to protect these false possessions. By cultivating spiritual knowledge, we can realize that we have nothing to do with all this material paraphernalia. Then at once we can become free from material attachment. This clearance of the misgivings of material existence at once takes place by association with the Lord's devotee. Very important. Prabhupada is not saying that this clearance happens with the association with the Lord. Prabhupada is saying it happens with the association with the Lord devotees, who are able to inject the transcendental sound into the depth of the bewildered heart, and thus make one practically liberated from all lamentation and illusion. See the profound words of His Divine Grace. Prabhupada is saying that this clearance of misgiving of material existence at once takes place by association with the Lord's devotee, who are able to inject. Inject means what? You see, when the disease is very intricate, or it has become perennial or incurable, then strong dose is required. Normally, what do we do? We take some tablets or capsules to cure a disease. But if the disease has intensified, then what we do? There is intravenous. You know that, no? Most of you would have got also. I have received it many times. Why? Because it goes directly into the blood and it gives the immediate impact. So what happens is, if you are in the right association, as Prabhupada is saying, the right devotee association, so the injectable is given. And what the injectable does, it penetrates, all the layers of the flesh which is there and the fat which is there, and it enters directly into the veins, into the blood. So here Prabhupada is saying, who are able to inject the transcendental sound into the depth of the bewildered heart, and thus make one practically liberated from all lamentations and illusions. And what is the transcendental sound? That is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. એને છે ઔષધિ માયા, નાશી વરલા. So the ઔષધિ to remove Maya is only the holy name. So it has to be injected. It has to be forcefully administered. And when it is forcefully administered, Prabhupada says, into the depth of the bewildered heart, and thus makes one practically liberated from all lamentation and illusion. That is the summary of the pacifying measures for those affected by the reactions of stringent material laws exhibited in the form of birth, death, old age, and disease, which are insoluble factors of material existence. The victims of war, namely the family members of the Kurus, were lamenting the problem of death, and the Lord pacified them on the basis of knowledge. So the situation is again of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna is lamenting and Kṛṣṇa is giving him, is removing his lamentation by giving the transcendental knowledge. Prabhupada is saying here, Lord pacified them on the basis of knowledge. Sadhayitva ajit shatru sadhyitva ajit shatru swam rajyam kitaverhitam ghatayitva Atha asata rajna kachaspārsha shata ayusha. The clever Duryodhan and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhishthir, who had no enemy. We all know that Yudhishthir Maharaj was so honest and so righteous that he is also known as Ajātshatru. Ja means to take birth, and Ajātshatru means one whose enemy has never taken birth. That means there was no one who was envious or an inimical to Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was so righteous. So Maharaj kingdom of Yudhishthir, who had no enemy. By the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unscrupulous kings who joined with Duryodhan were killed by him. Others also died, their duration of life having decreased for the rough handling of the heirs of Queen Draupadī. So we all know what happened. That led to the chain of events to this war. And one of the most deciding factors was the insult that was administered to Draupadī Devi by the Pāṇḍavas. In the glorious days or before the advent of the age of Kali, the Brahmanas, the cows, the women and children and old men were properly given protection. Prabhupada talks about the Vedic culture. The Vedic culture, these are the Brahmanas, cows, women, children and old men. Five factors, they are always given protection. Respect also and protection also. Why? Because the protection of the Brahmanas maintains the institution of Varna and Ashram, the most scientific culture for attainment of spiritual life. Because the Brahmanas, they are considered to be the head of the society. The Prabhupada many times said that today's society is headless. Just imagine a person without having any head. So he's dead. So similarly, now because we don't have the Brahmanas, we don't have the Brahmanical culture, we don't have Varna and Ashram. So Prabhupada is saying here that without the Brahmanas, the institution of Varna and Ashram cannot be maintained, which is the scientific culture for attainment of spiritual life. So because Varna Ashram system is not there, then there is no possibility of cultivation of spiritual life. The production of cows maintain the most miraculous form of food. Milk for maintaining the finer tissues of the brain for understanding higher aims of life. Just yesterday, I met one student. I was coming from my Sarita Vihar parents' place. And as I was entering the temple, I met one young person, young in a sense. He came to Delhi to prepare for IAS. He did not become IAS, but now he is coaching for IAS. He is giving coaching to IAS students. And he wanted to, know the purpose of practice of Krishna consciousness. So while discussion, I could make out that he tried for Bhagavad Gita, but he could not understand, understood much of Bhagavad Gita. So why? Because Prabhupada is saying here, why people are not able to read Shastra, or why people are not able to get an understanding of Shastra. What to speak of application of Shastra? Because the brain is not there. The brain is dead. And how to have that Brahmanical brain? It requires cultivation by pure cow milk. The Prabhupada is mentioning this. Prabhupada mentioned this many times in many purports. The protection of cow maintains the most miraculous form of food. Milk for maintaining the finer tissues of the brain for understanding higher aims of life. So that is why people do not understand. The brain is already dead. They don't have if you don't drink buffalo milk, because if your brain will also become like fat like a buffalo. Better not to drink buffalo milk at all. Try to get cow milk. And now all the commercial companies have started to sell A2 cow milk. They don't know what is A2, but they will brand it as A2. A2 means the Indian breed cow. Now, where are Indian breed cows? So that we can get so much of A2 cow milk. But without that cow milk, there is no possibility of having the brain substance. And without having the brain substance, there is no possibility of trying to pursue the spiritual quest. It will never happen. The Prabhupada is saying, very important is to protect the Brahmanas who will teach the Shastras. And you need to have the cows to get that miraculous food, to develop the finer tissues in the brain, to be able to understand the higher purpose of human life. Otherwise, one will be engrossed in the four lower activities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Puna puna charvita charvanana. Again and again, chewing the chewel. Then he says the protection of women maintains the chastity of society, by which we can get good generation for peace, tranquility, and progress of life. So women has to be protected. This so-called era of giving equal right, the woman is most exploited now in the garb of giving equal right or giving freedom or liberty. Why? Because there is more exploitation. If the protection is not there, there will definitely be exploitation. And we see now, if you see the society, if you analyze, the divorce rate is so high, so very high. Who is suffering? What is the result of this so-called freedom or so-called equality? But again, the problem is there is no brain to be able to detect what is the situation. You see how in the Pāṇḍavas regime, the ladies were given protection. You see here that the ladies were walking in front and they were led by the men. So proper protection, unless and until there is proper protection to the ladies, there is no possibility of good generation. Prabhupada is highlighting this point. Because the protection of women maintains the chastity of society, by which we can get good generation for peace, tranquility, and progress of life. So if the Varna ashram system is not there, then what do we have? We have Varna Sankara. Now today's life, there is only Varna Sankara. And if there is one Sankara, what kind of generation we are going to have? Very important. Prabhupada talked about the Brahmanas. Prabhupada talked about the cows, and now he talks about the women. And two more. The old persons and children. So in the Vedic culture, all five are to be duly protected. The protection of children gives the human form of life its best chance to prepare the way of liberty from material bondage. Such protection of children began from the very day of begetting a child by the purificatory process of garbhadhan samskar, the beginning of pure life. So we see, we have the system of purification of performing so many samskar. Right from the birth, before birth, this samskar begins. There are many. Some of them we are performing for our Gaurangi, who is playing in the background. So very important to observe all this purificatory process. Some of you were not there. We had her. What was the name of the samskar? When the first hair cutting was done? Chuda? What was the name?
चूड़ा
Sunny?
कर्ण संस्कार प्रभुजी।
Huh?
चूड़ा
Chura-
कर्ण संस्कार।
Udakaran samskar. We had our unprashnan samskar also and Chudakaran samskar. And there has to be a samskar when she will write first. So the Vidya begins, and the education and the learning begins. Prabhupada is emphasizing that the children should be always given the protection by the process of samskar, purificatory process. The protection of the old man gives them the chance to prepare themselves for a better life after death. This complete outlook is based on factors leading to successful humanity, as again the civilization of polished cats and dogs. Prabhupada always emphasized, Prabhupada was very much, bereaved to see the situation of the modern society, which is a civilization of, Prabhupada always said, polished cats and dogs. The killing of the above mentioned innocent creature is totally forbidden, because even by insulting them, one loses one's duration of life. This is very heavy. Please mark it very clearly. He says the killing of the above mentioned innocent creatures, all the five, is totally forbidden. And he says because even by insulting them, one loses one's duration of life. In the age of Kali, they are not properly protected, and therefore the duration of life of the present generation has shortened considerably. This is the reason when Kali people have very less life. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated, when the women become unchaste for want of proper protection, there are unwanted children called Varna Samskar. Varna Sankara, sorry. Varna Sankara. To insult a chaste woman means to bring about disaster in the duration of life. Dushasan, a brother of Duryodhana, insulted Draupadī, an ideal chaste lady, and therefore the miscreants died untimely. These are some of the stringent laws of the Lord mentioned above. Yajayitva ashvamedhatam tribhiruttama kalpakai tadyasha pavanam dikshu shatamannyor ivatano. Lord Shri Krishna caused 3 well-performed Ashwamedha Yajna, or sacrifice, to be conducted by Maharaj Yudhishthira, and thus caused his virtuous frame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 such sacrifices. So, you see, this is all leading to the birth of Maharaj Parikshit. So, under what circumstances Maharaj Parikshit took birth? So, in detail, the description is being given by Sūta Gosvāmī. This is something like the preface to the performance of Ashwamedha Yajna by Maharaj Yudhishthira. The comparison of Maharaj Yudhishthira to the King of Heaven is significant. The King of Heaven is thousands and thousands of times greater than Maharaj Yudhishthira in opulence. And yet the fame of Maharaj Yudhishthira was not less. The reason is that Maharaj Yudhishthira was a pure devotee of the Lord. And by his grace only was King Yudhishthira on the level of the King of Heaven. Even though he performed only 3 yajnas, whereas the King of Heaven performed hundreds. One who performs 100 yajnas, what is he called? Anyone knows? It's called Shata-kṛtu. Shata means 100, and Kritu means one who performs 100 sacrifices. So Maharaj Prithu was about to perform the 100th sacrifice. What happened? Indra came and tried to obstruct him. He came and he stole away the sacrificial horse. Why? Because he became very insecure that Maharaj Prithu may not take away his position. But here we see the name, fame, and glory of Maharaj Yudhishthira even surpasses that of Indra. Although Indra has many more times opulence and he would have performed the Ashwamedha year hundredth of time. But the name, fame, and glory of Maharaj Yudhishthira surpasses even that of the king of the heaven, Indra. Why? What is the reason? How is it so? Why others are not hearing? What happened to Ganesh? He had tuned in, he has left.
Tomorrow morning he's coming, Prabhuji.
Tell me one thing, I ask all of you. When you don't attend class or if you miss the class, do you go through this section? Be honest. Do any one of you have that inclination or interest that whatever you have missed, you try to go through that section to be in continuity? I'm asking those who regularly miss. Yes or no? Come on, you should answer, reply.
Prabhuji, I hear, but I don't read the book.
Now, how many times do you hear in a month?
Sorry, Prabhuji.
How many times in a month you are able to hear out of 30 days?
I hear all the lectures.
Sorry?
I hear all the lectures.
How? By recording?
Excepting that Dwarka wala, because that sound was
No,
a problem in that.
but when now like you are doing, we are doing study now. So Bhagavatam
Yes,
should be approached. Namani anantasya yasho ankitani. So it has to be approached verse by verse. That is what is the approach that we have taken. So that is what I am saying. I don't know why you people have travel plan. What is there to travel? Brahman Brahmite Kaun Bhagyavan Ji. Where is there to travel? What is there to travel? To keep rotating in the world again and again? There is more appetite to travel and to keep rotating yourself in the, what should I say? To not miss. Because if you miss, then you don't study. That portion is gone. Tell me one thing, Dayashil, when you go there, if you miss the class, will you be able to study Bhagavatam, that section that day or the other day? Then where is this so much of inclination and interest and appetite to travel? That means there is no interest. That is why Prabhupada is saying, no brain substance, no tissues. So because why the name and fame was there? Yes, tell me, Dayashil, you have raised your hand.
Because he's a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, Prabhuji.
What
Lord
it
Krishna.
means to be a pure devotee, or what it means to be a devotee. Is Indra considered to be a pure devotee? No. Why? Although the demigods are in which guna?
The mode of goodness, Prabhuji.
Yeah, but they are still not pure devotees.
No.
Why?
They are Sakam Bhakta, Prabhuji. Sakam. They have.
And whose footsteps are we following? Maharaj Yudhishthira or Indra?
Indra, Prabhuji. Indra.
But I can assure you, we will never become Indra. We can never become Indra. We can be fooled like Indra many times. But that opulence of Indra that we are eyeing in our heart, we will never get it. So here what is said that Maharaj Yudhishthira was pure devotee. So his name and fame and glory was no less. Although he performed only 3. The reason is that Maharaj Yudhishthira was a pure devotee of the Lord, and by his grace only was King Yudhishthira on the of King of Heaven. Even though he performed only 3 yagnas, whereas the King of Heaven performed hundreds. That is the prerogative of the devotee of the Lord. The Lord is equal to everyone, but a devotee of the Lord is more glorified because he is always in touch with the All Great. Who is All Great? The Supreme Lord. The sun rays are equally distributed, but still there are some places which are always dark. This is due not to the sun, but to those places lack of receptive power for the sun. That is a very important principle. This is due not to the sun, but due to those places lack the receptive power. What we are lacking in this power of reception. Similarly, those who are 100% devotees of the Lord get the full-fledged mercy of the Lord, which is always equally distributed everywhere. Okay, so I'll stop here. It is past 9. Today is also the disappearance day of Srila Gopal Bhatt Goswami. We all went to Srirangam. We also went to see the place where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent his Chaturmasya. These days, Chaturmasya began from just Ashad Purnima. Ashad Purnima was on Sunday, last Sunday. And how he personally trained Gopal, the young boy Gopal, to spread his message. Very dear devotee of Lord, pure devotee of the Lord. In his life, he did only what Lord Chaitanya told him to do, nothing else. There was no scope for anything else in his life. So we pray to Sri Gopal Bhatt Goswami and his beloved deity, the beautiful Radha Raman Dev, which encompasses all Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. All 3 in 1 is manifested in Sri Radha Raman Dev. So many times we have spoken about Srila Gopal Bhatt Goswami, so I thought that I will continue with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam because time is less to be able to complete the first canto within this year requires a lot of dedication and discipline, both from both the sides, from the speaker side also and from the hearer side also. Not easy. Not easy. If we can do that in 1 year, if we can do first canto, it will be very, very oceanic mercy of the Supreme Lord. So I'll stop here. From your side, if there is any discussion or inquiry, please go ahead.
So the little bit more about the last sentence, Prabhuji. Last sentence.
What is it? You read what is the last sentence? You have the book in your hand.
Similarly, those who are 100% devotees of the Lord get the full-fledged mercy of the Lord, which is always equally distributed everywhere.
So what is the example given?
Sun, Prabhuji, sun.
The sun rays.
Sun rays.
Sun rays. Is the sun rays equally distributed or not?
Yes, Prabhuji, it is there.
But how much every place or every person takes the advantage of the sun rays?
One has to come to under the sun rays, Prabhuji. One has to come near the sun rays. I mean, exposed to the
Similarly,
sun.
then you equate with what is the last sentence. Those who are pure devotees of the Lord, they receive the full-fledged mercy because they are directly under the protection of the sun. They never go in cave. You understand? When the sun is there, when the sun is there, the sun rays are also there. But if someone goes inside the cave, And he says, where is the sun and where is the sun ray and where is the mercy? Then what to do? Can he receive full-fledged mercy? Can he receive full-fledged? Or if he has an umbrella and he opens the umbrella and he sits beneath the umbrella and he says, where is the sun ray? Where is the full-fledged mercy? Very important word is the receptacle. How much we are receptive. To the extent we are receptive, pure devotee has 100% reception. His heart is tuned in. And he's never misaligned. He's always aligned. So he receives the full-fledged mercy.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Easy to speak and easy to hear, very difficult to apply. Very, very difficult. Because we have so many caves in our heart. And we keep hiding in that cave. And then we say, where is the sun and where is the sun ray? It is there. But we have to give up those caves. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. We'll continue tomorrow. I'll try to see that maximum time we take Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. At least first canto is there. You see, very few are left. I told in the beginning when we started Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, very few will be able to hear. Very few. Because the filtration process is there in itself. Those whose motivations are different, they won't be able to continue. Because this is the liberating process. The inbuilt liberating process. Shanvatam svākṛṣṇāḥ Kṛṣṇa punya śravanam kirtanam. Those who really, Prabhupada is saying, the purpose of human life is to get liberated. Others are not interested in liberated. They are more interested in bondage. They do not have the discrimination to be able to discern or even accept that what is liberating and what is binding. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread. They'll be interested in only all those worldly activities, neglecting the spiritual part. This is what Prabhupada is saying. This is all purports. We will see the rasa of Bhagavatam will begin to flow from these chapters. The reciprocation of Kṛṣṇa with his very intimate and pure devotees, the Pāṇḍavas. Hare Krishna. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Dayashil, Nitin has delivered. You can go and pick up.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.